Lila Hawthorne's disappearance stunned the entire county, not because wealthy people vanishing was unheard of, but because every single door, window, and gate of the Hawthorne estate was locked from the inside. The storm that night had swallowed all sound, and when morning came, the world woke up to find that the only daughter of the Hawthorne dynasty had evaporated into thin air. No footprints in the mud, no forced entry, no broken glass, no signs of struggle. Just a perfectly made bed, a half-finished letter on her desk, and an open diary lying on the floor as if she had dropped it in a hurry. For weeks, investigators tore the estate apart. They went through attics, servant corridors, hidden cellars, even the sealed wine vault from the 1800s. Nothing. The girl was gone. The police chalked it up to a runaway case. The tabloids called it a billionaire scandal, and her remaining family retreated behind gates taller than most houses, refusing to comment. But the diary, that single object, held details that no investigator, forensic team, or news reporter knew about. It held her fear, it held her suspicions, and eventually, it held the truth. I obtained the diary 10 years after her disappearance. Not legally, not ethically, but with the blessing of someone who said they owed it to Lila. They left it anonymously on the doorstep of my office. No note, just the book wrapped in weathered floral fabric and tied with a black ribbon. The edges were yellowing and the pages smelled faintly of lavender and dust. Inside were 147 pages, handwritten in perfect cursive, each one more unsettling than the last. What started as the musings of a bored heiress soon twisted into something darker. Something about the mansion, about the people who worked there, about the family she barely knew, and about something, or someone, that watched her every night. The first entries were normal in the way privileged misery always is. Complaints about etiquette lessons, notes about charity galas she didn't want to attend, observations of her father, always distant and hidden behind newspapers or phone calls, mentions of her stepmother, Eleanor, whose porcelain smile never reached her eyes. Lila wrote about the loneliness of living in a house with 20 rooms, but never hearing footsteps other than her own. She talked about the quiet that didn't feel like peace, but like something withholding its breath. She wrote of the servants who never made eye contact, of meals eaten alone, of birthdays everyone forgot except the head maid who left a single cupcake by her door each year. Then the tone shifted. The first eerie note appeared on page 23. Someone was in my room last night. No explanation, no details, just that one sentence. The next entry, dated 3 days later, elaborated. I woke up to the sound of breathing, slow, shallow breathing, not mine. I didn't move at first, and when I finally built the courage, I turned on the lamp. No one was there. But the window latch, it was unlocked. She wrote about checking the windows every night afterwards. She always locked them, and every morning one would be open, first the one by her desk, then the one by her bed, then one in the hallway. She wrote about the strange smell, old earth and mildew, that lingered whenever the windows were tampered with. She wrote about hearing soft footsteps outside her room at night, even though the mansion's floors were carpeted. She wrote about feeling watched. The investigators dismissed all this as the paranoia of a sheltered girl. But the more I read, the more the entries formed a shape the investigators refused to see. 2 months before her disappearance, Lila began writing about a person she called the guest. She said she first saw him in a dream, a tall silhouette standing at the foot of her bed. Every night the silhouette came closer. Every night the dream felt more real. And then one evening she saw him while she was awake. I was brushing my hair. I looked into the mirror. He was standing behind me. I turned around instantly, but he was gone. My brush fell to the floor. My hands were shaking. He wasn't a dream. Her description of him never changed. A tall male figure, impossibly thin, wearing something old-fashioned, like a long coat or a cloak, no face, just the impression of someone standing too still, too silently. She wrote about telling Eleanor, who laughed it off and told her she should stop reading Gothic novels. She wrote about trying to talk to her father, who had said, "Not now, Lila, please." She wrote about trying to confide in the staff, who avoided her even more. But the diary wasn't just fear, it was clues. One entry stood out more than the others. "I found something in the West Wing, behind the wallpaper near the old guest room. A door, a small one, child-sized." The West Wing had been locked for decades, supposedly due to structural instability. Lila wrote that she felt drawn to it, like something inside wanted her to come closer. She peeled the old wallpaper back and found a metal hatch, no bigger than a dog door. Inside it, she found toys. Old, dusty Victorian toys. Wooden horses, porcelain dolls, a rusted music box, a child's shoe. None of it belonged to her. When she showed these to her father, he became furious. He didn't yell, but he took the objects away and told her never to set foot in the West Wing again. Eleanor, strangely, became pale and tense, but said nothing. The next entries described nights where the sounds became louder, crawling sounds, breathing, something tapping on her door. She began stacking furniture against the entrance every night. She wrote that she started sleeping with the lamp on. She started searching the estate records and found blueprints showing a hidden room behind the West Wing wall. A secret nursery, one not listed in the official architectural plans. Why would a nursery be hidden? She wrote, "Only one person in the family had ever been a child in that mansion besides Lila, her stepmother, Eleanor." Then came the entry that changed everything. "I think the guest is not a ghost. I think he is alive." She described hearing coughing behind the walls at night. Soft, raspy coughing. She described the sound of someone dragging their foot. She described how one morning she woke to find muddy footprints, bare footprints, near her bed. The width and size suggested they belonged to someone taller than her, someone lean, someone who had been inside her room while she slept. The final entries felt panicked, rushed, as if she wrote them in bursts between moments of danger. I confronted Eleanor. She told me not to look into the past. She told me some doors must stay closed. She cried. I've never seen her cry. The entry after that. I found a photograph in the attic. Eleanor as a child, and next to her, a brother, a twin brother. His eyes, there was something wrong with his eyes. Then, I understand now. The hidden nursery, the staff's silence, the West Wing, the coughing. The guest is real. He's been here the whole time. He never left. Her final written page before the disappearance was stained, as if her hands were shaking. He comes to my door every night now. The tapping started earlier today. I hear him whispering my name. Father knew. Eleanor knew. They kept him here. Hidden, a secret they locked away. But he found a way out. I don't know what he wants from me. I don't know what he's capable of. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. I'm going to the West Wing tonight. I want answers. And then there was one more line at the bottom of the page. He's outside my door. That was it. The diary ended abruptly with the ink trailing off as if the pen was pulled away. Investigators found no sign of forced entry anywhere in the West Wing. They found no footprints, no fingerprints, no signs of anyone else living there. But they also never found the hidden nursery Lila mentioned, even after tearing out the walls. It was as if the space she described didn't exist, or as if someone hid it better than she realized. What happened to Lila Hawthorne? The official report still lists her as missing, presumed runaway. But there was one detail the police never released to the public. The morning after she vanished, the staff found her bedroom door scratched. Not from the outside, but from the inside. Like she had tried to claw her way out. I don't know what happened in that mansion, but after finishing the diary I visited the property myself. It had been abandoned for years. Vines crawling up the stone walls, windows shattered, furniture draped with dusty sheets. Her room was empty, except for the faint outline of a bed on the floor. The wallpaper in the west wing had been replaced, but as I ran my hand along the wall I felt a hollow space behind it. A void. A room that shouldn't be there. And then I heard it, faint, soft, and chilling. A cough, a raspy, dragging cough. I didn't stay to find out anything else. Some disappearances remain unsolved because there is no evidence. Others remain unsolved because the truth is too disturbing for the world to accept. Lila Hawthorne's diary revealed everything she knew, just not everything that happened afterward. The heiress didn't run away. She didn't vanish. Something took her, or someone. And if her final entries are true, he is still inside that mansion, still breathing, still waiting, still alive. If the diary found its way to me, maybe it's because Eleanor wanted the world to know the truth without admitting it herself. Maybe she wanted someone to tell Lila's story. Or maybe the guest wanted it. Whatever the case, I returned the diary to the person who dropped it on my doorstep. I left it exactly where they left it for me, outside the door, wrapped neatly in the same fabric, tied with a black ribbon. I heard someone pick it up that night, and I swear to this day, I heard 2 sets of footsteps leaving my porch, one light, careful, almost silent, and one dragging,